When they finally came for him, they weren't the ones Bernard Custer had expected. Bernard expected, say, Darla Jennings, the girl he'd worked with at Mama Dell's Pizza last year. Once, feeling frisky after a snort of cocaine on his 15-minute break in the men's room, Bernard smacked Darla across the ass. She'd called him the devil from then on. "Here comes the devil," Bernard's co-workers told him she'd say when he sauntered into work. But no, though, Darla wasn't one of them. No, when they finally came for Bernard Custer, they really weren't the ones he'd been expecting. Bernard expected at least a man from the IRS. Bernard had sent in his taxes last month. He'd kind of maybe cheated on his deductions for being a self-employed portrait painter by subtracting receipts he'd written to himself for $3,000 spent in strip clubs, reasoning strip clubs were research for his art. But no, though, it wasn't the IRS. No, when they finally came for Bernard Custer, they really honestly weren't the ones he'd been expecting. Bernard expected at least his boss from his last job. Bernard had been a landscaper up at the college, and while doing donuts to show off for a red-headed co-ed, he totaled the spanking new $8,000 lawnmower the boss spent a year petitioning the college to get. But no, though, his boss wasn't one of them. No, when they finally came for Bernard Custer, they were a hive of surprise. It was 9 o'clock at night. Bernard Custer was in the sauna at the community pool, getting rid of the toxins from a hyper weekend spent with cocaine. Lap swimming was about to start, and Bernard was debating whether to swim or just bop his pasty self between the sauna and the jacuzzi for the next hour. Bernard was alone in the sauna until in came a tough Nordic blonde kid, probably 12 years old. Something about the kid made Bernard jump inside. "Shit," thought Bernard, "that looks like that one kid that beat me up in 8th grade. The fuck was his name? Kenny Evans. But that's not Kenny Evans. Kenny Evans would be 33 by now, like me, unless he was dead." The kid turned and stared hard at Bernard, taking a seat on one half of the L-shaped wooden bench. Bernard thought, "Wait a minute." The kid said, "Hey, what's up, you little asshole?" Bernard thought, "Holy shit! It is Kenny Evans! He's time-traveled here from the year 1985! He's come for me!" Bernard stood up and left the sauna in a hurry. He looked back over his shoulder, but the kid didn't follow him. Bernard thought, "I have to stop doing cocaine. That couldn't have been Kenny Evans come from the past. Kenny Evans would be 33 by now, like me, unless he was..." But then Bernard's thoughts stopped, because sitting on the edge of the jacuzzi with only skinny white legs immersed in the foam was his 8th grade math teacher, Mr. Kirkland. "That's my fucking 8th grade math teacher," Bernard thought. "He doesn't look a day older than he did in fucking 8th grade. That's Mr. Cassidy fucking Kirkland." Mr. Kirkland looked up from the troubled waters of the jacuzzi and called to Bernard across the echo chamber of the pool.
"Bernard, my young friend, would you care to examine your grades in the grade book?"
Bernard veered away from the jacuzzi and headed toward the men's locker room. "I have to stop snorting so much cocaine. That wasn't Mr. Kirkland come from the past. That wasn't my fucking 8th grade math teacher." But as Bernard passed the door to the woman's locker room and looked through the little window in the door as per his custom, he saw Suzanne Williams on her way out, her raven curls bouncing. "Shit, shit, shit! That's fucking Suzanne Williams! They've come for me! And they've come for me from 8th fucking grade!" And as Bernard ducked into the men's locker room and the men's locker room doors swung slowly shut behind him, he heard Suzanne Williams' shrill voice shouting,
"You think it's funny to pull my hair? Look at you! You're just as pasty now as I was then!"
The men's locker room doors shut, and the men's locker room was still and empty. Man, oh man, thought Bernard, stepping beneath a cold shower and rubbing at his hair with both shaking hands. I just hallucinated Suzanne Williams shouting 4 whole sentences at me. I have to stop doing cocaine. God in heaven, make them go away. I swear I'll stop doing cocaine just because I think it's good for my paintings. I know, God, cocaine's not good for me, and it's probably not good for my paintings. And no more cocaine ever, I swear, just make them go away. But when Bernard turned and wiped his eyes free of cold water, they were there. They were there, and they had come for him. Kitty Evans held an open switchblade. What do you want? Blubbered Bernard. Just your right ear will do, said Mr. Kirkland, and he stepped up and pinioned Bernard, arms and head, against the tile wall. Bernard kicked at Mr. Kirkland's stomach, but Suzanne Williams dove in and wrapped herself around Bernard's legs. Kitty Evans planted the heel of his palm against Bernard's forehead and seized Bernard's ear between thumb and forefinger. Sweeping with the switchblade in his other hand, Kitty cut the ear off and held it triumphantly in the air. Bernard felt a wash of pain from the gash side of his head, and he opened his eyes to see his bloody ear displayed as a trophy, and he shrieked like a muskrat. 5 weeks later was the Tanana Junior High School 20-year reunion. Of all the bugaboos shadowing Bernard Custer, nothing bothered him more than getting invited to this reunion. But he liked to think of himself as mostly courageous, so he snorted an 8-ball and put on a rented tux and shown up. Now Bernard and Chip Stewart and Lynn Edwards and Kenny Evans were standing in the corner of the gym. Everyone stared at the unsettling purple hole in the side of Bernard's head as he finished his story. Chip Stewart said, "So, that was a dream you had?" Bernard said, "No, it was real. That's how I lost my ear." Lynn Edwards said,
Were you high on something and you just had a dream and lost your ear some other way?
Bernard said, "No, well, yes, I had been doing a lot of cocaine back then, but you don't have full-blown hallucinations like that on cocaine." Kenny Evans said, "So, are you saying I cut off your ear?" Bernard said, "No, but your younger self came forward through time to the present day, and he sure as fuck cut off my fucking ear, and that's why I told you to fuck off earlier when we were over by the punch bowl." Kenny Evans looked offended and ready to hit Bernard. "I thought you said you didn't say to fuck off. I thought you said, fuck off," said Bernard. "I said, fuck off. Yeah, I was trying to be nice to you, but I just can't, you cock. Your fucking younger self came forward through time to the present day 5 weeks ago and cut off my fucking ear. I didn't deserve that. I'm just a portrait painter, for God's sakes. I'm just trying to make it. Why can't I be let alone to paint and live without a lot of misery from the ghosts of 8th fucking grade?" Kenny Evans gave a sullen shrug and backed off from Bernard's anger. "I don't know, man, but if you're gonna be like that about it, I'm not even gonna apologize about your stupid ear." And then there was darkness. And then Vincent van Gogh awoke in his garret. The air was frozen. The bed smelled sour. The prostitute was already awake beside him and picking at one of her scabs. Vincent stared up at the rotten parts of the ceiling, and useless cold tears welled in his eyes.
What is the trouble with you?
asked the prostitute. From under the weight of the gloom of time, Vincent said in a slow, hoarse voice, I had a terrible dream. One that made no sense at all. The end. Thanks. Have a good night.
Lazy Gramophone.